I'm so pleased to see that Cecelia is here. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you.
It really is.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. 10 years, 25 million.
I know, it's incredible.
It's brilliant.
It's hard to believe.
Keep doing what you're doing because it's working. Now, this one is really interesting. This is Perfect, and this is a follow-up to Flawed.
Yes, it's the sequel to Flawed.
Yeah, it's kind of aimed at, when I say young adults, everybody can enjoy it. But I always wonder, what is the definition of a young adult?
I know, well, we say 12 and up, but it is for everybody. But Flawed came out last year.
Yeah.
And it's set in a society that doesn't tolerate imperfection. So if people make a mistake or if their behaviour is frowned upon, then they're branded with an F and they become second-class citizens. Right. And it's about a 17-year-old who finds herself in that situation, but she's a perfect girl who doesn't want to be considered imperfect. Yeah. And so for her, it's a nightmare situation. I suppose if Flawed was about her losing her place in the world and losing her voice, then Perfect is about embracing being, imperfect and realising that, to be flawed is to be human. And
absolutely.
So that's the message of the book.
Do you know what? That is such a brilliant, positive message without you kind of like, because sometimes people get sort of hit over the head by these messages, it's okay. But this, in a really easy way to understand, basically it is commenting on what society is like right now, isn't it? Because a lot of teenagers do feel that. A lot of young women and young men as well, that's the thing.
Well, it's both, exactly.
It is both. They're suffering from eating disorders, huge anxiety. Yeah. They're worried about their place in the world. They see all this stuff on social media and they think that's how you're supposed to be. But nobody's perfect.
Nobody is perfect.
I mean, I know the book's called Perfect, but nobody is perfect.
Nobody's perfect. And I think that we live in such a judgmental society, as you've said, and public shaming also almost becomes a sport.
Horrible.
And I became so kind of frustrated by looking at that and opening the paper and seeing whose life are we destroying today for one act they've done and we're not letting them move on, that I wanted to write the story about. We all make mistakes and let's not judge. And I know it seems kind of cheesy, but it is real life,
It's true. That's what happens all the time. You're right. I mean, social media, we shouldn't knock it necessarily because it can do a lot of good. But you're right. I mean, instantly somebody puts a photograph out there, somebody's going to comment. And most people, sadly, it's not going to be that's lovely. Yeah. It's going to be something horrible. And how you react, because I didn't have to deal with that growing up. I don't know how I would have been able to deal with that. I think it would be awful.
Absolutely. I think times have changed.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. And you want it to be better for your kids, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't want them to have to go through that.
No. And I think actually, why I wanted to write it from this age as well is that's the age where you're really learning to find your voice.
That's true.
I mean, we're trying to figure ourselves out at every stage of our life, but particularly when you're, 14, 15, 16, it's about not just doing what you're told and what other people tell you, but kind of questioning who am I and what do I believe. And that's, there's a power with that at every age.
No, that's true, but it is finding your place, isn't
finding your voice, finding your strengths and realising that being different is being good. What I think when you're younger and you feel you stand out for the wrong reasons, that becomes your strength when you're older.
That's true. Yeah. That's very true. The thing about your writing is it's very authentic. Of course it is. I mean, you yourself, you've been very open about the fact you've had anxiety. And when I think about it, I think most of us have. Yeah. At some stage in our lives, most of us have felt anxious and overwhelmed.
I think the older I get, the more I discover people have felt the same. But when I suppose I was 19, 20, 21, that was when I was really bad panic attacks. I got terribly bad. And I really just kind of hibernated and wanted to hide away from the world. I don't know how they came on. I don't know where they came from. But what I did was I turned to writing. And I remember one statistic, and I actually don't remember the statistic, but somebody said to me, say it's like 4 in 10 people suffer from anxiety or are feeling panic attacks. And I remember sitting in every room I was in and looking around and thinking, who are the other 4 people who are feeling what I'm feeling right now?
Because they're doing a really good job of not showing it, and so were you.
So were you. So look, I've been working hard on this.
I know.
And that's what made me start to try to figure out what's going on in people's heads, because I don't feel fine, but everybody else looks fine, and that's what made me write. And and when I'm writing, it's always about what's underneath the person and what's going on inside that head. I'm just kind of fascinated by that. So I took something quite bad and tragic and hard in my life and turned it into something positive because I turned to writing.
Not half. Will we see these? Do you think we'll see Flawed and Perfect? Could this be something that we'd see in the movies or TV series?
Well, they have been optioned by Warner Brothers.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
And it's the same team that made P.S. I Love You. And so hopefully, Love Rosie took 10 years to make, so I'm really hoping we'll be quicker than 10 years.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's... I've really enjoyed this. I wrote Flawed and Perfect perfect in 6 weeks, which is the fastest I've ever written novels.
Wow.
I just had so much to say.
Just go come out.
Yeah, and just my heart was pounding and my body was trembling as I wrote it, and it was an amazing experience. And I think as a result, the book reads very fast.
Yes.
Because I wrote it very fast. So yeah, I just want everyone to read it.
Oh, it's brilliant. So good. I'm going to say good luck with it. I don't need to say
Oh,
that.
look, I always need a bit of luck.
It's perfect, and it's out today.
Yes, it is.
Today, fantastic. Do you still get a buzz when it's the publication day?
Always.
Of course.
And when it arrived in the door, actually, as a fully formed book, I'm dancing around, doing my happy dance.
I love the happy dance. Cecelia, thank you.
Thank you so
Great
much.
to see you. Thank you.